Kevin Owens was seemingly written off of TV on last night's SmackDown. AEW have seemingly signed a new TV deal, and WWE dropped their ticket prices to 88 cents. What the hell? It's time for the news. So, main event of last night's SmackDown, Cody Rhodes and a mystery partner taking on A-Town Down Under. That mystery partner was revealed to be Kevin Owens. Rhodes and Owens picking up the dub in that main event, but very, very shortly after, they were attacked by the Bloodline, with KO seemingly being written off of TV. Took Jacob Fatu's ass to his face about 50 times and then driven into the ring post with a steel chair around his neck. Obviously, we didn't see Randy Orton last night. It looks like he's been written off, and it looks like now Kevin Owens is the latest victim, and we may not see him for a little while. What do you make of this?
Really, this is just recklessness on Cody's part now, isn't it? Like, Cody should know that wherever he goes, this is going to keep happening to anybody he associates with. Cody needs to just not have any friends.
Yeah.
Cody needs to just go out there and get beaten up himself. Or at least guarantee that we maybe have the Mountie to come down with a cattle prod or something, just to keep
The
him at
Mountie?
bay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do him and Cody go back a bit?
No, but Kevin Owens is Canadian, right? So they can make that work.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Probably work with Bob or something. So Randy, you could link that all in.
The odds very much stacked against Cody Rhodes ahead of his match at SummerSlam. He's defending the WWE undisputed title against Solo Sikoa. And it looks like, apart from the Mountie, he's not really got any mates left here.
I think Cody's dropping it. I think
Do you actually?
I seriously, I think it'd be a huge shock. It'd make massive headlines. The fact Solo Sikoa has, after all that, after everything Cody's been through to get that belt, for him to just be absolutely wiped out. Obviously unfairly, but to be absolutely wiped out and have Solo take it, I could see it.
I'm really enjoying this new bloodline.
Yeah.
I think the addition of Jacob Fatu, for me, has been a complete game changer.
God,
I think he's sensational.
Less 40-minute promos, more, we're just going to mess you up. I just like how direct they are. It's got that kind of weird throwback 90s vibe where they're sat in a smoky room backstage, and I just love it. The way he presented everything, it just feels more.
It's really cool, and it's just making me desperate for the Roman Reigns return. I think that's probably going to happen at SummerSlam. Obviously, he came back to SummerSlam the first time around, started the massive heel run. I don't think I'm anti-Solo.
What if he comes back with the vest and the blue contacts and he's like, ooh,
soccer dash. We will see.
Tater tots.
SummerSlam just a little while away. Just a minor TV production change made last night. I think this is a really cool thing. So on last night's SmackDown, some new on-screen graphics appeared with tonight's results. So it appeared about halfway through the show, a little bit after, and it recapped the match results for the stuff that you hadn't seen yet.
Nice.
I think it's a really cool thing because I guess sort of psychologically, maybe some people, if they were to tune in halfway through a show, they're like, oh, I've missed it, it's not worth watching. It just catches you up.
It's on at prime time, right? So the odds that somebody might be flicking on halfway through, or might just be flicking through the channels and seem to catch the results, like, I think, it makes sense. And I think they're still to come. It should be there anyway, right? It just feels like something that should have just been part of the production, the results and everything like that.
You'd guess so.
Yeah.
They seem sort of more keen
more sporty.
Yeah, it's a bit more sporty, for sure. They seem okay with just like giving everything away. As long as people are watching, they're happy now. We've seen now they upload highlights immediately after, not just for the weekly shows, but for the pay-per-views as well. They do basically full recaps of the pay-per-views. As long as people are invested in the product, they're happy. They don't care where they're watching.
I mean, it's all you'd get on a Saturday morning as a kid anyway. If you couldn't afford a pay-per-view like the week after, you'd get that kind of recap when you had your weekly Raw, where they'd quickly run through, here's what happened at the pay-per-view. WCW would famously show you stills as a means to try and get you to buy the actual video of the event. But I think just any change up in the presentation I've enjoyed. I've really enjoyed minimizing the size of the stage when the houses are packed. I just think that it just feels fresh, right? And it's been so many years of the same thing. As impressive as that massive wall is and the production is anyway, I just think it's nice to change things up every now and then.
Yeah, you don't quite know what you're getting with WWE now. In a nice way. It's like
surprising.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's just cool. We're sticking with sort of SmackDown flavored news right now. You may remember on the July 19th episode of SmackDown, Nia Jax confronting WWE Women's Champion Bayley. So they went back and forth. and Jax referred to the champ as BBL Bailey. What does BBL mean?
Brazilian butt lift.
Butt lift, that's right. So Nia's been chatting away with Tim Battle on the Battleground podcast. She's addressed this viral clip because it really did get shared a lot. She said, I was just saying the obvious. I kind of thought it because Bailey and I have such a history going way back into NXT. It's been a solid decade of me and Bailey, rather. We've never been on the main roster to have a real good interaction of promo and storytelling. When we got in there and she brought up the injuring and all this stuff, it just hit me. And I was literally saying the obvious, what everybody has known her to have. I have known Bailey long enough to know that she is an all-natural, beautiful Brazilian booty Latina. What do you make of this, Sam?
I think that Nia's covering her ass here.
Covering her ass? Okay.
What do you make of it?
Well, I'm glad that she addressed those comments. I think it's an important thing.
You can't let speculation run that wild. And no, I don't think she is wrong at all.
She is a all-natural, beautiful Brazilian booty Latina.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that Nia was brave enough to say that. You might have noticed that you're missing that story.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was sort of looking for it going, what? Where are we
Surprise! AEW have seemingly signed a new TV deal. So for the past few months, Tony Khan has been negotiating directly with Warner Brothers to renew the streaming rights. Dynamite, Rampage, Collision we're talking about. It looks like a deal has come to fruition. Drain Bamager, I think, got this out first, but sharing a screenshot of the international version of the app on his social media, surely revealing that AEW is part of HBO Max's streaming services now. So you can see a picture of that now. It's not available on the US version, but I imagine it will be very, very shortly. Journalist BJ Bethel tweeted that his sources stated that AEW has an agreement in principle with Warner Brothers Discovery for a new TV deal. WBD's executive negotiation window was set to expire this weekend, as in now. No wonder on when it will be official.
This is great news. It feels like it's near impossible to stay on top of all of AEW unless you've got very deep pockets and you're prepared to go really rifling around a lot of different places. The biggest issue I have with it is I'd like for pay-per-views and everything to be included as part of this, but I know there maybe has to be an additional package there. But the idea that, old pay-per-views were being packaged together at like $30 for 3 of them, I was like, who's paying that? Like, I don't...
It's a reasonable price.
It's a reasonable price, but I think that in the current age of over-the-top content, people aren't maybe as willing to pay for stuff that's out of date now, right? So it's like an older show, so I think when you're packaging stuff like that, it should just be going up somewhere like Max, right?
Yeah, I've always thought that, and I know it's available in various other places now, but for a long, long time, AEW pay-per-views were just on Fight, now Triller TV, obviously. And I always thought, it makes them feel a bit low rent. Like, they should have something in place now. But I guess when you're doing fewer pay-per-views... you want to offer value for money, don't you? Which is why we see these super long AEW pay-per-views
cards and stuff,
which in the US cost like $50, I think, sometimes $60.
Yeah.
And so I think that was the reason that they sort of stuck with that video on demand provider or that streaming service. But it looks like things might be changing in the not too distant future. Big money changing hands, one would be led to believe.
Yeah, it's got to be huge.
So we will keep you updated when we know more. Slammiversary tonight, TNA Slammiversary, 4,000 fans going to be in attendance for it. It's TNA's biggest show in donkey's years, and lots and lots of people very, very excited about it.
Get Austin Aries flipping on everybody again.
Well, there are surprises planned, apparently. Hope it's not that.
Joe Hendry flipping off everybody.
That goes into business for himself. One person who's not going to be there, he was never advertised for the show, but he is a big name in TNA right now, is Jeff Hardy. He was written off on the July 18th episode of Impact, getting stretched out of there. He wasn't advertised for the show, as I say. Mike Johnson, a PW insider, noting that the reason that he's not going to be at the pay-per-view, because you can imagine they would certainly want him there, Matt's on the card as well, his past legal issues preventing him from being able to enter Canada for the pay-per-view. He's not actually entered Canada or wrestled in Canada anyway since performing at a WWE live event in Vancouver back in 2019. So if you're a Canadian Jeff Hardy fan, it's pretty unlikely that you can get to see him work.
Yeah, it's possible. You know, it is possible to get people over the border. The Canadian border is very hot for things like this. Like, it can be really, really minor things that keep you from going over the border as well.
Are you about to give some smuggling advice?
No, but basically...
Speaking from experience, you can get stuff into the country.
You just got to get it right up there. Basically, the WWE did it recently with Jacob Fatu. They got him right up there. No, they got a lawyer. They had like a really hot, like on it lawyer who was able to negotiate a route into the country. So I think it is possible, but it seems like you've got to jump through so many hoops, and you've got to have all of this kind of forewarning and ability to kind of, you know, get in there and do it. So I think it might be a case that you don't get Jeff, but anything's possible, right?
You never know.
Never know
if they've spent the money, or tucked him up someone's ass, then Jeff might just
be the old prison pocket.
We're going to finish with a silly little story here: the crazy price of WWE tickets in Mexico.
I'm moving there now.
Oh, this is crazy. This is nuts, right? What were the starting prices in Scotland? 200 odd quid or something?
Yeah, I think for like Money in the Bank, I remember going, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that. And then it was like, you've got to buy a ticket for Money in the Bank and SmackDown, and it's 600 quid. And I was like,
no, initially you did. Yeah. It was just the combos,
and then eventually
wasn't it?
they unveiled them, and it was still like 200 quid. And I was like, I can't. It's too rich for my blood.
Bastards. If you want to move to Mexico, 2 house shows over the weekend. And tickets ended up selling. They didn't start at this rate, but they ended up selling for 88 cents each.
Which is just mental. I know that WWE is trying to break into the Mexican market. Have been for ages. Mexico obviously is a very big stronghold of Lucha Libre, AAA, like AAA and CMLL. There's a lot of independent Lucha Libre as well, but WWE having to come in, making a huge splash, getting like, you know, a big, massive sold out crowd. You're not going to miss with 88-cent tickets, are you?
No, I don't know what they started at. But for them to drop to 88 cents is insane.
I mean, rather than having it empty, you may as well, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can't blame or anything. But
go on, Tony Wembley.
Yeah, 88 or pence. Bring in the cash. Thank you very, very much for watching. We'll be back very, very shortly with another news video. You have a good weekend. Take care. See you in a bit.